Alrighty, thank you very much. My name is Mars of the Watcher Society. Watcher's Prophecy News Update Flash Notice. Want to repeat tonight, the confidence is high. If you can hear the sound of my voice, you are the resistance. We have epic information for your mind. Greetings and welcome again to the Watcher's Prophecy News Critical Update. Wish everyone a great evening tonight. Give praise to God for our day today. For those not familiar with the WPN, want you to go to Facebook and check out the Watchers Society. Come see what we do at our 21 euro think tank on the end of days. Tonight, I am the voice of that big news. Will soon affect everyone. I've told folks in the past some things were near out of control. We know the prayers of good folks keep many things from getting out of control. Tonight, shocking revelations. You're about to see a war of epic scale and something that is going to change the very landscape of the Middle East and events going on even in other places around the world, such as North Korea. Let me, right off the bat, get to brass tacks. We're in the middle of three revolutions of change at this moment. Seems, one, the wind of war on at least three fronts. Two, the change in times and seasons, prophecy unfolding into the vast news media, things from the Second Temple now being built underground from the first. Or even the birds gathering in vast numbers right now at the Valley of Megiddo. Third revelation to our own Bill of Rights and the right just to keep and bear arms. They want to destroy us here. We're just not going to take that with any kind of smile. Lieutenant General Robert Rabbit Franks, retired, has informed me that he has seen some evidence that Trump is about to attack. He's about to attack Assad where it hurts, and then the Russians will respond in miscalculation. I guarantee it. I would be so watching when you have Turkey, who is more than willing to attack us to wipe out the Kurds, yet find it hard as we are camped out right in the very middle of the land Turkey wants back, and has already told Trump he is about to get a Ottoman slap. We know that one of the conditions made was that Trump's spokesperson, Sarah Sanders, said that he was aware and ready, both with sanctions that were at an all-time high, and that every event was being handled. Well, let me also explain that a message has been given from the U.S. commander there on the scene, General Robert Scott, and others that already sent fair notice to Turkey that we will blow the living snot out of them if they attack us or even come near us. He also told me that secret talks were taking place now to remove Turkey from NATO behind their backs. We also know that Turkey has committed about 2 divisions of police and sniper corps now into Afrin, and that there is back and forth battling between CIA-supported Kurds, who keep the oil flowing, by the way, and Turkey. This week, some 1,000 Iranian fighters have traveled to the area to join up with the Kurds and repel the Turks, as this also upsets them, as they are already knee-deep in making bases in Syria, and Israel knows well where they are at, and those are about to be hit also. So letting you know things are about to get deep. Citing as a yet released United Nations report, U.S. media reported Wednesday that North Korean missile experts were again employed at Syrian weapons factories, and fresh supplies from Pyongyang have arrived of substances and equipment for making chemical weapons, including VX gas. They include heat-resistant tiles, valves, pipes, and thermometers needed. By the way, these are very special thermometers needed for ballistic missiles. Syria pays North Korea for these services, which could go back several years, although the shell companies established for this purpose are very deep and are subject to congressional United States Congress investigation at this moment for the purpose of even more sanctions. Russia and Syria deny these reports and claim that Syrian rebels are waging chemical warfare. We know that not to be true. Blaming them for the latest chlorine attack in eastern suburb of Damascus. When Syria was previously caught using chemical weapons in the past, we know who the perpetrator is. They did that to civilians in April 2017, and Donald Trump responded by ordering a massive cruise missile and Moab attack on Syria's Sarat air base. So we know that Trump will do something. Now, Assad may or may not send regular forces, as some are already being mobilized to deploy. But because the United States is involved, and we may bomb them soon for the chemical weapons violations, that he doesn't want to really work with us anyway. At least not repelling the Turks. Boo-hoo. Now let me get to the really juicy part, the part I called everyone to hear. I believe from my intelligence that Israel is about to attack. Israel may attack the entire region or just several bases. Never before seen such blitz attack using very heavy bombs on these Syrian Iranian bases. Just after Iran decides to provoke some type of provocation, a missile or something, in defense, Israel, who is about to attack several big Iranian targets in Syria, best be prepared, best be watching. Lebanon will join in, Nasrallah and his crew, and Russia said they would fight Israel if they attacked Assad. So, folks, I'm telling you, it's on. The Russians have let the Iranians in, and Israel is determined to root them out. Moreover, if Iran retaliates, the United States will have to get involved, and thus Russia, and then it will be for at least a short time the dawn of what looks like the greatest war ever to befall the world, and it will be. Folks, signs are here. Every sign. From the destruction of Damascus, the trembling and toppling of Jordan that's coming soon, the terrorization of Egypt, being prepared mentally for all these things that are happening. You know, between the 1948 generation, the establishment of Israel, and the Balfour Declaration, the generations, the World War II generation is dying off at 1,000 folks a day. 1,000 of these World War II veterans are dying every day. We are approaching the last members of that day. And the Bible says, not all will be gone when we see these things. When this event occurs, and we are close at hand. Israel today is a miracle of God, bigger than the Exodus out of Egypt, in my opinion. They have reimplanted Zionism in Jews, created Arab homelands, dividedly so, but allowed them to hang around as part of peace negotiations, show that they are sincere. Prevention of Nazi genocides. They have empowered the Allied forces in the area. They've created a near utopian Jewish state. They have empowered the citizens, the Israeli army. They've preserved and prosper right now. Everything in Israel is prospering. You know, you go back to the first exploration, the test site that was done by Genie Oil and Gas, which now is, if you translate this into modern terms now, this has all been involved to Zion Oil and Gas. You can look that up. Murdoch, Rothschild, Cheney, many others, a lot of private investors in this. Largest oil find 7 times larger than the Saudi main field. Whoever controls this find will be the oil and gas king for the next 200 years. Guaranteed. That is indeed the spoils the Bible refers to. Ezekiel 38 is when the Lord upholds his holy name. Also relates back to chapter 9 Ezekiel. Ezekiel 38 is definitely the marquee event. Now, we see in Ezekiel 38, 7 through 13, the preconditions and conditions that the Israeli people are living in. Israel dwells securely without bars, walls, or gates. And for the most part, other than Jerusalem, we see that this is pretty much true for most of the cities. Israel becomes greater, safer, and wealthier. We go back and cross-reference Psalm 83, which removes the preconditions of Ezekiel 38, eliminating the surrounded Arab enemies and terrorists. That's coming soon. Israel is going to expand territory. Their territory is going to expand. It's going to increase. They are going to capture many, many war spoils. Then in Jeremiah 49, 34 to 39, we explain the relevance of how Iran is gaining a toehold in Syria and how that Iran is involved in this great mess. There are nuclear verses that I would say, spiritual showdowns in the Iranian prophecy. We know that both Iran and Israel have nukes. We know Iran has nukes by now. The 7 I wills and details of the Lord in Jeremiah 49. The Lord is going to break the bow of Elam, which is Iran, at the foremost of Iran's might. Now, Iran's got to show that might, and they're going to do it real soon. You're going to see some kind of big test out of Iran, just like North Korea is doing. Lord will gather the 4 winds from the 4 corners of heaven and scatter the Iranians worldwide. The Lord says so. The Lord will cause Iran to be dismayed, absolutely dismayed, in shock and awe before the eyes of its enemies. The Lord makes that clear. The Lord will create a disaster inside of Iran. That's correct, because Iran has fiercely angered him. The Lord will send the sword after the Iranians until they are defeated. The Lord will destroy the Iranian leadership even and establish his throne, a throne, in Iran. Show the world. In the meantime, as you can clearly see all over the rest of the world, there is a satanic plan of strong delusion that is about to be overcast like a giant fog, with the Antichrist first forthcoming in the end times. He is already on the scenes. This devilish plan of deception would resort to distort the truth about God's holy name. You know, if God didn't uphold his holy name, humankind would be absolutely overwhelmed by Satan's lie. God's love for man has compelled him to provide clear choice in the end times between Jesus Christ and the Antichrist. And you're going to see that contrast. You're even going to see it on a personal level in your own life. When will Ezekiel 39:7 find fulfillment? Believe me, it's coming soon. Ezekiel 38 goes on, the Israeli perspective, the conditions of Israel right before the Gog-Magog invasion. Now, I had a long talk with Yuri on the phone, my Israeli friend. He's in the Israeli Army Reserves. And he and his family, he has 2 daughters and a wife, recently took a trip up to the valley of Amon-Gog, the valley that this war is to be fought in, and seen as witness to a particular thing Bill Silas, by the way, also wrote about this. This event where there are going to be birds there. And the Bible talks about not just some birds, but a feast is going to happen there. The birds are going to have a feast at the Magog invasion. And in order for that to happen, there's supposed to be a lot of birds there. And we should be able to gauge by the signs and the times and the things that we see in the news, all these things, and look at them from a world perspective and say, time must be really close, because we're seeing things now that the Bible said would happen right before this happens. Seeing these birds. We'll get to that story. Got a train coming down the tracks here. Good old train. It's very reliable. Tells me what time it is. Jeremiah 49, 34 to 39, Iran prophecy about the disaster in Iran. We know it's coming. Isaiah 17, Jeremiah 49, 23 through 27, the destruction of Damascus. Jeremiah 49, 1 through 6, and Zephaniah 2, 8 through 9, the toppling of Jordan. Isaiah 19, 1 through 8, the terrorization of Egypt. Psalm 83, the concluding Arab-Israeli war, which I believe happens either first or sets off the conditions for the Gog War. Bible really doesn't make it clear which comes first, Psalm 83 war or the Gog War, but it really doesn't matter. One is there, one is here. The rebuilding or the groundbreaking for the third temple, and believe it or not, it's complete. And it's dead underground, including the Holy of Holies, right in the very spot, just a few feet below. Obadiah 1, 19 through 20, Jeremiah 49 and 2, Zephaniah 2 and 9, all tell of the expansion of Israel. We will see in this time that Israel is going to expand. There's not going to be a contraction of Israel. There's going to be an expansion of Israel. Ezekiel 37:10, 25:14, Obadiah 1:18, we are going to see the rise of a exceedingly great Israeli army. Exceedingly great. Like the world has never seen. Ezekiel 38:11, the sake for Israel that dwells without partition and walls and security fences after this event. And it's probably after the Psalms war that we see many of these walls come down, because the border will have to be expanded, that these walls will do no good. They need to be put somewhere else. Ezekiel 38:13, the welfare of Israel in receipt of a great plunder and booty. That's due to the expansion. This great booty, this great oil find. 1 Corinthians 15, and then 51 through 53, and 1 Thessalonians 4:15 through 18 talk about the rapture of the church. Now, I'm a mid-tribulationist, so I don't know when Jesus is coming back. It's not for debate right now, but Jesus will be coming back. That we do know. I would be ready. Ezekiel 38:13, the decline of the UK and the United States, Tarshish and their young lions. And their young lions is what I want to talk about tonight, because that's us. We are young lions. And folks, this takes us directly to other prophecies that I want to shine to show you that the judgment of the nations, this great war, and where it takes us in Bible prophecy, what our fate will be. It's not pretty. And it's not just doom and gloom. These are things the Bible says are going to happen before the return of Christ, before the 1,000-year reign, before things become the way Jesus Christ, who will sit upon a throne on this earth and rule. Folks, this takes us directly to those prophecies. Similes, one in Zechariah chapter 5 at the very end, as who the modern day land of Shinar is. Now, the old land of Shinar arguably would be Elam or Iran, but this is a comparison, a simile, about some of the same sins. The land of Shinar is undoubtedly the young lions in this verse. And 2, Jeremiah 51 in the fate of the United States. I urge you to read Jeremiah 51 and you will see that our own fate will be hideous nuclear nightmare of death beyond all imagination. And the devil wants to scare you with it. We must resist the supernatural evil and let the Holy Spirit flow into ourselves and let peace prevail, or with the killings and evil demonic gun control to see our kids being murdered and no one armed there to stop them. Abortions now in every state but one in the United States. Kentucky, you are my hero. God will bless Kentucky. You watch and see. Maybe the only state spared. Who knows? Condition of Israel, we can see clearly in Ezekiel 38, 14, 39. The condition of Israel right up to the time and during the invasion. We can see the picture of what Israel looks like. We can compare that with the news that we see on the Watcher Society every day. Those lands that will line up against Israel: Magog, Tamish, Tubal, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, Gomer, and Tamarith. Russia now says it has Tsar bombs. Do you know the largest nuclear weapon ever made by mankind? Largest nuclear weapon ever exploded ever. A Russian bomb called the Tsar bomb. They now are putting Tsar bombs on nuclear self-guided nuclear engine torpedoes that can wipe out an entire seaboard in one shot. Unstoppable, says Russia. United States does not disagree. But the United States says it also has super weapons. We have lasers in space that can kill folks on the ground with a single shot. A single burst. Assassination from space. North Korea has now been proven to have shared and is giving actively to both the missile program for Kim's attempt to hit the United States with a nuclear weapon, but as well to provoke Assad's chemical weapons. Last time having them and having used them, Trump's attacked Assad, and as you remember, that was quite a shock. Now that they have been caught a second time, Trump may wait off, however, on such an attack, being Assad is willing to fight off Turkey in the U.S. Kurdish-held areas, and that we should listen to the Russians, as it was not really Assad that used chlorine, but the rebels. Yes, but those Kurdish YPG fighters being bombed to death in eastern Syria, Assad would certainly release chlorine gas to kill themselves, I'm sure. No, they're not going to do that, but Assad did. The world is about ready to explode. No other time such as these are so clearly marked in history. Then you are going to see even bigger things. Giant earthquake, the Bible discusses. Mountains are all thrown down and walls thrown down everywhere. Enemies panic. They kill each other like the Midianites in the time of Gideon. Going to see a supernatural victory by Israel during this Psalms war. A great flooding of rain, a great hailstones of fire and brimstone, the likes of which the world has never seen. And we believe that those descriptions are nuclear weapons. Then in Ezekiel 39, 9 through 21, talks about the conditions of Israel in the aftermath of these. These weapons in 9 through 10 converted to fuel for 7 years. They're going to bury the dead for 7 months in Ham and Gog to cleanse the land. They're going to have to bring in outsiders just to help because the job will be so incredibly difficult. That's exactly what they said about Fukushima. Oh, it's incredibly difficult. You just can't go out and grab this stuff. Ezekiel 39:17 through 20, this sacrificial meal to every sort of bird. Every sort of bird. And that's exactly what Uri has told me. Every sort of bird. You wouldn't imagine birds from South Africa. Birds from as far away as Ural being found in this valley. Imagine that. As Yuri told me, the birds are already there. Blackbirds to pelicans to blue jays and all kinds, as I said, of rare birds from all over the world. And it looked like the valley of the birds. And what more, Israel is feeding them flies, believe it or not, dropped from helicopter to help eradicate another problem, a pesky fruit fly, and interbreed it out of existence. Yet God is sustaining the birds, while, as Yuri pointed out, more and more showing up by the day. He said last year, Mars went up there last year. Remember, we told you about this in an earlier show. Oh, there were tens of thousands of birds. Even seen some funny looking birds there in that valley. But now Mars, there must be at least millions. I've never seen anything like it. But you see, Ezekiel's seen this. To every sort of bird and to every beast of the field. We're seeing this now. We know the time is close. We know the time is ready, and you best be ready. These events are happening now. As you know, in the birth pains, there comes a point when, you kind of lose control there and it just does its own thing. Well, that's what's going on now. This stuff's on overdrive, on autopilot. You better get on your hands and knees and you better thank God for the days that you're existing in peace right now. You better give until it hurts. You better help your neighbor. You better love your neighbor. And do what you can every day to promote love and peace. This has been Mars of the Watchers Prophecy News. I want to thank you. Come see what we do at the Watcher Society. You will be amazed. We always have epic information for your mind.